What's good, YouTube? Cardfight King here, Aqua Life Baby. You already know what it is. So the third deck profile in the series from the Moonlit Dragon Fang, we have Yasuie. Yasuie was like really bad back in G format, but his return to V format is really good. Honestly, I think this might be the best accel deck. Going into the Luard set in a few weeks. It's a really strong deck. It builds boards. It has a very unique defensive play with Shiryukis, because you can do actually a double Shiryuki in the deck. I think it is easily one of the strongest decks in the set, and probably the best accel deck in the format. And I play Harry, so it's just a testament to how good this deck is. It looked a little underwhelming on paper, and some of his lineups, just because of how they did the clan in a way, are kind of lackluster in certain areas. But this deck is very good, very powerful. It gives pretty much every other deck in this set a run for its money. And especially if you get the jump on them. Honestly, just a seriously good deck, and it's definitely one of the cheaper. One of the cheaper decks, not really popular, but I would suggest if you're looking for a fun deck that you really can't afford to misplay in a lot, then this deck, and you can misplay quite easily in the deck as well. Obviously, we got our starter. Get them out the way. So we're going to start off from the top, and this is my brother's build. This deck is still doing the testing phase. He ended up going 2-2 with this deck at the tournament. He played against two OTTs, a Mirror and Zambaku. He crushed the OTT players with the deck against Zambaku. The Zambaku player healed on 6, and had the Zengeki cheese. Because if you don't have enough, it's the same deck I lost to. If you don't have great zeros in hand, then you really can't guard. You can't guard a Zengeki turn. So that's pretty much. And then his other loss was in the mirror match, but he lost just due to time rules. So. It is what it is with that, but the deck outside that's been performing very well. Again, scales really well in the late game. It's just an awesome deck. So definitely 4 copies of Yasuie and 4 copies of Yasuie Tenma. Yasuie is Yasuie Revelation VR Yasuie. Basically, he is kind of it's a pseudo restanding deck. So you counterblast 1, soul blast 1 as an act ability. You choose 2 units on the board and you copy them from the drop zone or your deck. And at the end of the battle that he attacked, you get to discard 2 cards and ride a Yasuie Tenma from your drop zone. Now, Yasuie Tenma has an ability when he's on the Vanguard circle that you counterblast 1, you choose one of your units, and you search your deck or drop zone for a copy up to 1 card with the same name as it, and you call it to your rear guard and shuffle your deck. So this Yasuie, for just a counterblast and not a soul blast, gets you 1 card, copies 1 card, and a lot of times he would copy himself because he has a rear guard ability, which is that when he attacks, he gets 10,000 power, and at the end of the battle, he gets retired, and you send a card from your opponent's board to the bottom of their deck. So he's definitely your strongest attacker in this deck. Very cool artwork between both of them. And it's a pseudo rewrite, so you go accel 2, draw a card here, ditch 2, rewrite him, get another accel 2 marker, draw a card. His ability, their abilities are act, so you'd use them in the main phase anyways. But he's just solid board removal. A lot of the times you're going to be seeing a ton of Yasuie Tenmas like every turn coming out, getting rid of the opponent's board, swinging in for like 27 on the accel circle, 30 with an 8k boost if he's called to the regular rearguard circle. Just overall, you know, just a really strong combination between the two. But a lot of the times the goal is to, after you do the re-ride, you want to try to get another copy of Revelation in hand so you can re-ride Revelation and then do that, and then do the play again, because you really don't want to be stuck on Tenma from a lot of the time. You really want to just have that flow between both of them. And then the other grade 3s we play, so we're currently playing Stealth Feed One Eye Hudo, or Nudo. So Nudo, you guys remember him from the Hyuga build. Basically, if you have another unit with the same card name as him, he gets on Vanguard or Rearguard, he does get boost. And at the end of your turn, if you have you know, that same condition, another copy, you know, if you have another copy of him on the board and you have 5 or more rear units, you could throw him into the soul and draw a card. So he's definitely some draw power here. It's a card where you can get, you know, you can get a copy of him to the board. Get a little bit of draw power here and there, and there's actually a grade 2 that you'll see that you can obviously use to accomplish that feat. But he's just some solid additional draw power that you can do with this, you know, with this deck. Otherwise, yeah. And then we got our one copy of Shirayuki. Shirayuki is one of the strongest cards in this deck, and she's limited to 1 for a reason. She has a card in Rainy Madam that can fetch her just by your opponent protecting herself, so she can fetch her from the drop zone. In this deck, you can do a double Shirayuki turn. You can actually Shirayuki your opponent twice in 1 turn. And still get her back, and still get her back to hand, and then Shirayuki them defensively. It's actually sickening. Really good. Just a really good card overall. And you know, she's one of the cards that you target and really start getting cycling and really using her to really just abusing her, because you build quite a bit of soul in this deck. Really just abusing her, and you know, keep minusing your opponent, which lets your board, because again, like I said, you're going to build a wide board in this deck. It lets your board just swing in, you know, and force, and really hurts your opponent's ability to guard. And if they do hit a trigger, I mean, hey, it's like, okay, cool, you hit a trigger, everything still touches. So yeah, very, very solid grade 3 lineup. Obviously, everything is still in the works as we get more testing in. But so far is really fun, really good. Going through the rest of the deck, we got 4 copies of Fushimi. You guys already know and love Fushimi. He enables attack from the back row and all that stuff. Actually, Fushimi's a great card, especially if you see them, like, if opponents like setting up certain things in the back, you know, in their back row early game. You can ride them and attack that, damage deny them a bit, attack their setup. Just a solid card overall. 4 copies of the new card, Owazu. Owazu is an amazing card. So Owazu is one of the key cards that allows you to double Shirayuki somebody. So basically, or get any card. So you could just, when he's placed, you send a card from your deck to the drop zone, and he copies that card's name. By copying that card's name, you can then use the Yasuie skill to copy, you know, whatever his new name is from the deck or the drop zone. So you can literally send Shirayuki from your deck to the drop zone, copy Shirayuki, put Shirayuki onto the board from the drop zone, Soul Blast 2, minus your opponent. Then you can like call over her, and you can call over her with something else from your hand. Then if you go into Wisteria, when you do the Yasuie re-ride play, you can call her back out and minus your opponent again, or you know, if you can call something over her, and then and then you have Rainy Madam on the board, so you can get Rainy Madam, put her in the soul, then add the Shiryuki to hand, so then you can abuse the Shiryuki defensively on that turn. So there's just a lot of options, a lot of plays you can do. This card definitely enables that. Also, it can also help copying your one-eye Nudos, which would allow you to get multiple Nudos onto the board, and then they would, you know, because they check one at a time, kind of like Narissa does, check one at a time at the end of turn. It's like, okay, as long as this card is going to remain one-eyed Nudo, I can just put both of my Nudos into the soul and draw 2 cards. So again, just it's one of the best cards in the deck. Very solid overall. And then we played 2 copies of Midoro Pyro. So it's a card that we added in after the tournament. We were playing the Yoitogi Stealth Rogue, but that triple rare grade 2 is really bad. It's not a good card at all. Midoro Pyro, just for on plays, you get to look at discard a card. So you could discard a Tenma because you rather have him in your drop zone anyways to a degree. And then you get to look at the top 2 cards, add 1 to hand, send 1 to drop zone. Definitely helps you, you know, find certain things, sets up some powerful Yasuie plays. Just a solid card overall. And it's definitely a welcome addition to the build. Grade 1s, we got the grade 3 Searcher, and believe it or not, this grade 3 Searcher is really cool. As long as you have a copy of himself, he gains 5k. A lot of times we use him offensively for attacking, so he's definitely a really good card to you know, to look out for to get to your board. Then we have probably the best grade 1 in the deck, Wisteria. So Wisteria is your combo enabler. She lets you just pop off in this deck. When you ride her, she searches the top 7 for a Yasuie, and then you can add to your hand for free. But her real ability, her real shine, is on the rearguard circle, where when you ride a Yasuie card, you can counterblast 1, pick a card on your board, and call a copy of that same card from your drop zone to the board. So when you do the re-ride plays, she can get you an extra Tenma to the board from the drop zone. She can get you a Nyudo. She can get you whatever you want to copy on your board. She can get you. And again, she also allows you shoot. You can even get a Shiryuki from her. So she's just the best grade 1 in the deck. You want to see her early and often. You kind of don't want to ride her if you don't have to, especially if you already have your setup. You want to try not riding her, but you know, if you do, it is what it is. But she's just amazing on the rearguard circle. And then last but not least, we have Rainy Madam. Again, you already know what she does. If your opponent blocks an attack, she goes in the soul and she adds Shiryuki from your drop to hand. So solid grade 1, solid grade 1s. Not really many other grade 1s that you really would want to play in Murakumo, so to speak. So we got 4 heals, 4 draw PGs, 2 regular draws, and then we have 6 front triggers. So we initially played more draw because you're discarding cards to do the resend plays. And then this deck goes wide a lot, so we tried out crit triggers. Crit triggers are okay, but you want everything in this deck to touch. Again, kind of like Silver Thorns, your mindset is that you're going to go wide. And so for decks that want to go wide rather than, you know, have, you know, some more of a singular focus of attacks or multiple restanding attacks or something like that, those decks would want crits. But this deck, everything touches. You're going to be using your grade 1s offensively as well. You're going to have a lot of numbers like 17, 13, 18, stuff like that. You just want to touch. So playing front triggers really does it and really can help this deck close out the game because of how much board you can spam out and how wide this deck can go. We are considering actually bumping up the front trigger count to 8 as we get more used to the deck and whatnot and the plays, and like the extra draws, you know, are nice and they can come in handy occasionally, but we're definitely thinking, you know, as we learn more about the deck, practice with it more, get more of a handle on everything, we're definitely going to most likely end up increasing our front count to 8. So definitely stay tuned for that update. But otherwise, that's the deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, so we're done. So we're done with Murakumo. The next deck profile that's going to be going up is I'm just put my Harry deck up, guys. Show you guys my Harry deck that took the tournament that I went 3-1 with. So yeah, this is Cardfight King, Aqua Life Baby. You already know what it is, and we're out.